My name is Warren Matthews. I am 50 years old, and I died for 16 minutes. What Jesus showed me in those 16 minutes changed everything I thought I knew about mercy, about grace, and about the love of God. I want to be clear before I say anything else. I am not standing here to impress you. I am not standing here to build a platform. I am standing here because I was sent back, and the only thing I was told to do when I returned was to tell the truth. So that is what I am going to do today. I am going to tell you the truth. I was 49 years old when it happened. I had spent the better part of 3 decades building a life that looked good from the outside. I had a house. I had a career in logistics management. I had a wife, Sandra, who had prayed for me longer than I deserved. I attended church sometimes. I knew the language. I could quote enough scripture to blend in at a Sunday service without anyone suspecting how empty I actually was on the inside. I had what you might call a cosmetic faith. It covered the surface, but it had not touched the deep places. On the morning of November 14th of last year, I was at a routine medical appointment, a follow-up for blood pressure issues my doctor had been tracking. I had not been taking my medication consistently. I kept forgetting, or rather, I kept choosing other things. That morning, while I was still seated in the examination room, I went into full cardiac arrest. My heart stopped. The medical team worked on me for 16 minutes before I came back. I did not know any of that in the moment. What I knew was this. 1 second, I was in that examination room, and the next second, I was somewhere else entirely. There was no tunnel in the way people often describe. There was no slow drift. It was immediate, instantaneous, like a curtain being pulled. One reality simply ended, and another began. And the first thing I was aware of was light. Not the kind of light that hurts your eyes. Not the kind of light that comes from electricity or from the sun. This was a light that was alive. A light that had intention. A light that already knew my name. I want you to understand something about what I mean when I say it knew my name. I do not mean that a voice called out, Warren. What I mean is that the presence in that light already contained the full knowledge of who I was, every corner of me, every version of me. The Warren who had failed his wife, and the Warren who had sat in church pews thinking about anything other than God. The Warren who had looked at his children and prioritized his career. The Warren who had been given gifts and buried them in distraction. All of it was known. Completely and without apology, it was known. And here is where I have to slow down and be very precise about what happened next. Because what came from that light was not judgment in the way I expected judgment to feel. What came from it was mercy. A mercy so large and so complete that I did not have a category for it. I had heard the word mercy my entire life. I had sung about it in church. But standing in that light, I understood for the first time that I had never actually believed in it. Not truly. Not in the way I believed in gravity or in cold weather. I knew it intellectually, but I had not trusted it with the real parts of myself. Then he was there, Jesus. I am not going to be sophisticated about this. I am not going to dress it in theological language or academic qualifiers. Jesus was present with me, and the moment he was present, every lie I had carried about who I was and who he was simply fell away. Not because they were argued out of me, not because someone corrected my theology. They fell away because the truth of him made them impossible to hold. Warren, you have been afraid of me. That is what he said. And he was right. I had been afraid of him my entire life. Not the kind of fear that produces reverence. The kind of fear that keeps you at arm's length. The kind of fear that says, if you let God all the way in, he will see the worst of you and he will leave. I had constructed my entire Christian life around keeping God close enough to feel safe, but far enough away that he could not see the full picture. And he said to me those words, "You have been afraid of me." Not as a correction, not as a rebuke. He said it the way you would say something to a person you have watched suffer for a long time, finally able to address the source of the suffering. There was grief in it, tenderness in it. He was not angry. He was not disappointed in the way we use that word. He was present, fully, completely present, with the thing I had been hiding from. I have seen all of it. I saw it before you were born. I have not once turned away from you. Not once. I want to stop on those 3 words. Not once. In those 16 minutes, those might be the 2 most important words that were spoken to me. Because the story I had been telling myself my entire life was that God's presence was conditional, that there was a version of me that was acceptable to him and a version that was not, that his nearness was something I had to earn and maintain and protect. And the truth he was showing me was that this was never the arrangement. It had never been the arrangement. He did not show me a hall of failures. He did not play back my worst moments to condemn me. What he showed me was something far more confronting than condemnation. He showed me his presence in those moments. He showed me where he had been when I thought I was alone and abandoned. He was there in the hospital room when my father died, and I did not cry because I thought men were not supposed to. And he was there in the car the night I drove home from the office Christmas party, having drunk too much and did not tell Sandra. He was there in every board meeting I walked into, having skipped my morning prayer for the 15th day in a row. He was there, in all of it, and he had not left. That is what mercy looks like from the other side. It is not God ignoring sin. It is God being present in the middle of human brokenness without the brokenness having the final word. And there is a difference between those 2 things that I cannot fully translate into human language. But I am going to try. Mercy is not the lowering of the standard. Mercy is God's refusal to let the standard become the end of the relationship. He sees what you are, all of what you are, and he stays. That is the thing I could not hold before I died. See, that is the thing I came back with. My mercy is not a reward for the righteous. It is the floor under the feet of the broken. It holds everyone, or it holds no one. I asked him something in that place. I do not know exactly how questions work there, because language is not the primary medium of exchange. But there was a question that rose out of me, and he received it. I was asking whether I had wasted my life, whether the years of half-faith and cosmetic Christianity had disqualified me from something I could no longer get back, whether the gap between what I had been given and what I had actually used was too large to be forgiven. He did not answer that question directly. What he did was show me something. He showed me Sandra, my wife, praying for me. Not once, not twice. He showed me years of Sandra on her knees, asking God to reach me, asking God to get past the walls I had built, asking God to do what she could not do. Years. I did not know the extent of it. I knew she prayed. I had never understood how faithfully, how persistently, how specifically. And Jesus said to me something that I will carry in my chest for the rest of my life. Her prayers were never wasted. They were held, every single one of them. And this moment, right now, is part of the answer. My dying, my 16 minutes, my standing in that light and hearing truth for the first time was, in part, the answer to years of my wife's prayers. I came back undone by that. I came back understanding that prayer is not a wish thrown into the dark. Prayer is correspondence with a God who is already moving, already weaving, already working the answer into the fabric of things, long before the answer arrives. There is something else he showed me about divine mercy that I need to say plainly, because I think it is the most misunderstood thing about the Christian life. Mercy is not the beginning of something casual. Mercy is the beginning of something transformational. The mercy he showed me in that place was not a permission slip to stay the same. It was an invitation to become what he had always designed me to be. There is a version of grace that people use as a cushion, a place to rest from accountability, a reason not to change. That is not what I encountered. What I encountered was a mercy so complete and so powerful that it made me want to be different, with an urgency I had never felt before. Not to earn what he was offering. It was already being offered. But because of what it was, because of what he was, the only appropriate response was transformation. He said something to me near what I understood to be the end of my time in that place. He said it with a quietness that still settles over me when I remember it. You are going back. And when you go back, I want you to live like a man who has actually been found. Because you have been. Not just today. You have always been. The finding was never the question. The question was whether you would stop running long enough to notice. I came back. The medical team brought me back after 16 minutes, and I woke up in what I am told was a very undignified way, sitting straight up and saying something nobody could understand. Sandra was there within the hour. I told her what happened in broken pieces because I did not have the language yet. She did not question a word of it. She just held my face in her hands and said, "I know. I have been praying for this for 22 years. I want to tell you what has changed in the months since I came back, because I think this is important. This is not a testimony of someone who returned and immediately became a perfect Christian. I still struggle. I still have mornings where the old habits try to reassert themselves. I still have moments where fear tries to tell me the lie it has always told, that God is at a distance and I am on my own. But there is a difference now. The difference is that I know it is a lie. I have been in the presence of the truth, and the truth has a weight to it that the lie cannot match. I pray differently now. I do not pray like a man performing a duty. I pray like a man talking to someone who is already in the room. Because he is. One that is not a metaphor. That is not a spiritual pleasantry. He is present. And the mercy he showed me in those 16 minutes is not reserved for near-death experiences. It is the standing condition of anyone who will turn and face it. I read my Bible differently now. Not looking for rules, not looking for things to check off a list, looking for Him, because every page is saturated with the same quality of presence I felt in that light, the same refusal to abandon, the same insistence on mercy as the primary vocabulary of the relationship. I treat Sandra differently. I treat my children differently. I treat people I meet in ordinary life differently. Because I now understand that every person I encounter is a person that same mercy is pursuing. Every difficult person. Every person who has hurt me. Every stranger. On every colleague who has no interest in God and would find this testimony uncomfortable if they heard it. They are all being pursued by a mercy that does not wait for them to become worthy before it begins its work. I am going to close with this. If you are in this room and you have been doing what I did for 30 years, keeping God at a careful distance, performing just enough Christianity to feel covered, holding the real parts of yourself away from Him because you are afraid of what He will do when He sees them, I need you to hear what I heard in that place. He has already seen them. all of it. And He has not left. He is not preparing a verdict. He is preparing a homecoming. The mercy you are afraid to trust is the very mercy that has been holding your life together in spite of everything. 16 minutes changed everything I thought I knew. But when I think about it honestly, it did not change what was true. It changed what I was willing to receive. The mercy was always there. I just had to die to finally let it in. Thank you.